Oh.
Five, four, three, two, one.
Let the games begin.
Hey, everybody. Hey, welcome to this latest episode of Movies Merica. Spoiler warning. Yeah, tonight we are sinning and grinning here on Movies Merica. Spoiler warning. So come on in here. Come on in, you heathens. All right, as we talk about some Sinners, directed by Ryan Coogler here, the guy who made Black Panther and Creed movies and Fruitvale Station. And yes, he's one of the acclaimed directors here, and he's got talent. And so we're going to be talking about his latest movie here tonight there. So, and we are going to get really deep into this. Okay, we're going to sink our fangs into some Sinners, that is for sure. All right. But hey, before we get too far into the Vampire Mire, first this.
In a world where the number of movies available is great, but many are so bad, you'll learn a new definition of hate. One man sifts and reviews through the movie sludge. One man will be the movie cop, jury, and judge. He goes by many names, but you know him by Movies Merica.
All right, everybody. Hey, again, welcome on in here. It's Thursday. It's pre-Friday. It's Thirsty Thursday. And so, yes, you guys can get up in here and talk some Sinners here with me, because as I always mention here, it's no fun me just up here talking, just chit-chatting by myself. That's kind of, it's a little psycho. It's a little psycho, if I might say here, me just sitting here talking to myself, even if it's about movies and all that. So then you start getting voices in your head, and you're like, who's there? Who's there? No, I won't do that. No, I won't pick that knife up. No. So don't let me go psycho, okay? So don't let me get a bad case of the crazies. Join me. That's the wrong way to do it. Let's redo that. Hey, everybody, come on in and join me. Come on, there you go. That's better. That's not so creepy and cult-like right there. So, and so that's my weird out there way to invite you to get into the live chat on Rumble or YouTube. And we're going to talk some Sinners here. And then also you can talk to some folks here in the live chat as well. I'm sure we'll get some others in the live chat talking about vampire movies or movies in general or whatever, okay? And then also, hey, don't hog all the Movies Merica just for yourself. Feel free to take the link to this episode and instant message or email or carrier pigeon or, put it on a Post-it note and hook it up to an MX missile, whatever, however you need to get it to, anybody that you even remotely suspect is into movies. By all means, do that, okay? But again, everybody come on in and join the Movies Merica family. Yes, is that a very enticing way? Is that warm the invitation and all that? Does that make you want to come in there? So good. All right, excellent. All right, so let's get into some Sinners right here. But first, I'm going to take me a little drink right here because I'm thirsty, and also that reminds me to remind you that, hey, this is a relaxing, friendly environment right here. You're in a safe space to pick up whatever you're drinking, whether it be a brewski like this, or maybe you're sipping some whiskey, or, maybe you're sitting on your patio down south drinking some sweet tea, and you're watching the show right now too. Hey, whatever you got, whatever you're imbibing, by all means, more power to you. So, but this is what I got. So here we go. Excellent. Plus, I'm fighting this cold thing I got going on. You ever have like one of those colds where like it feels like your breath gets taken away easier than normal, right? You're trying to talk and all of a sudden, like, like it's just like you got to like kind of catch your breath a little bit there, and you got like frogs in your throat all the time, and it's just nasty and whatnot. But I can't wait for this to go away. That is for sure. But let's get into some sinners here, so because I'm sure you're fascinated by hearing about my health troubles. So, so again, this is a spoiler warning show, so just one warning here for you. I mean, as if the title's not enough to warn you that there's going to be spoilers in this show. I don't bend over backwards or twist myself into a pretzel to give out spoilers, but I'm also not going to walk on eggshells trying to avoid spoilers here, because that's what this show is all about. And so, yeah, we're going to get spoilery about Sinners here, and to that end here, so I'm still not sure what to make of the scene where Sammy, so Preacher Boy Sammy in Sinners, played by Miles Caton, I think is how you say his last name. I was watching a video with Ryan Coogler, the director of Sinners, and he pronounced it Caton. So Miles Caton plays Preacher Boy Sammy, who is the cousin, the younger cousin of Smoke and Stax, played by, I guess you can call it Michael B. Jordan and Michael C. Jordan, right there. I got two Michael Jordans in here. Michael B. Jordan, Michael C. Jordan. Okay, and so Sammy, he's playing that "I Lied to You" song, where it's basically his big debut at the juke joint there, run by his older nephews there. And when he's playing "I Lied to You," there's all these people from many different generations dancing and singing, reflecting like rock and roll and rap and geisha and DJs and tribal music. And I didn't like the idea and what I think Ryan Coogler was going for, okay, because I get it. He's trying to show that, at least in his mind, blues music, as we're hearing it in this movie set in 1932 that Preacher Boy Sammy is playing, he's trying to show the connection between blues music in the 30s and how that's connected even to music, back in the 5th century, and then in the future in the 1990s and the 2000s, and they even show like modern day rap and that kind of thing. And just that alone, I like the idea, like in and of itself right there. And again, I think I know what Ryan Coogler was going for, but right idea, wrong venue. Okay, so because it just seems like it's out of place in a vampire movie. He's trying to pile too much into one movie there, and I was just like, okay, we've barely seen any vampires yet in this movie. We're way more than halfway through this movie. Haven't seen any vampires yet, but now I'm getting like this segment here that feels like it would be more at home in some Netflix or Rolling Stone like music documentary or something like that. So I'm like, Coogler, what you doing, dude? What you doing, man? Vampires. I was sold on vampires. I saw this trailer for the last 8 months before every movie that I ever saw in this theater, teasing vampires. Where they at, man? Where they at? Now instead of vampires, I got like some VH1 music documentary segment over here. Like, all music is connected throughout time. Like, where's the bloodsuckers, dude? Come on, Now, if Coogler would have just stuck to Remick, Remick, if you've seen the movie, Remick is the lead vampire played by Jack O'Connell, I think is the actor's name. If they would have just stuck to Remick being magnetically enthralled with Sammy's music and kept it simple, I think it would have not looked like Coogler was trying to stuff too much into this movie right there, because they could have just had, Remick. He's like, oh man, I'm over here sucking blood out of these victims over here, and what is the dulcet sounds I'm hearing here? These sultry sounds. Wow, that's some sweet blues guitar I'm hearing, and ooh, that voice. Ooh, that angelic blues voice. Ooh, I'm so enthralled. I'm so magnetized by that music. And if they would have just left it at that, like that's the plot point right there. Okay. And do away with the VH1 music history documentary segment, then that just overflows. It just overstuffs the movie right there. Just have Sammy in that scene play his the "I Lied to You" song, and everyone's getting down, and then cut to what they eventually cut to, where they show Remick and his two latest victims, rolling up on the juke joint there, and Remick's like, "Oh yeah, I like this," some sorority girl, high on E, and she hears some dubstep and in a concert, she's like rolling up to Coachella, and there's some dubstep playing, and she's high on E, and she's feeling it. She's got a little pacifier and her little glow sticks, and she's like, "Yeah, I like that. Play it, Skrillex." Yeah, so they portrayed Remick like that, like he was rolling up on the juke joint and digging what he was hearing right there. Just keep it at that. Just keep it at that. But I mean, it's not a major deal. It's not a big deal. It's not a deal breaker for this movie. I'm not going to tell anybody, don't see Sinners because of this scene, or there's a bunch of geishas and rap artists and rock and roll and guitarists and all that. No, it's not. It's not a deal breaker. It's not that big a deal, but it's a big enough deal for me to say that without it, the movie could have been better. Now, there's a myriad of things that this movie could have just cut out that would make it better right there, but that's just one of them right there. And that scene would have been perfect if Coogler was making like a history of black music documentary or something. I mean, it reminds me, like if he was making a movie or a TV show, like remember the TV series The Get Down that was on Netflix, and it was like this dramatization about the history of rap music starting off like in the Bronx or Brooklyn or something like that. So it started off just talking about like a Grandmaster Melly Mel or Funky Funk or whatever his name was, right? And so with something like that, a kind of a documentary talking about music or something like that scene would have worked just fine right there. So, and I know I'm going to have some disagree with me. Don't care. All right. Don't care one bit whatsoever there. So, all right, let's do this here real quick. I just want to check here and see if we got any live chats up in here. Yes, we do up in here. We've got Beyond Formal in here saying, "Hey, buddy," and "Hey, buddy," right back at you. Good to see you there, Beyond Formal, and make sure to search Beyond Formal in Rumble so that you can check out Beyond Formal's great shows and episodes on Rumble there. And hopefully Beyond Formal, hopefully you get some company here in the live chat right there. Oh, you know what? I forgot what night it was. It's NFL draft night, isn't it? I think it's NFL. Yeah, I think it's. I don't follow the NFL anymore. It's since the NFL turned into the BLM league, it's now the Black Lives Matter league right there. So and also I was a Vikings fan. I was a Minnesota Vikings fan for 25, 30 years. I mean, when Randy Moss and Dante Culpepper were playing for the Vikings, I had been a Vikings fan for 10 years even before that. I mean, I was a long-time Vikings fan. And then the whole George Floyd thing happened, and they invited George Floyd's family to U.S. Bank Stadium. And that really rubbed me the wrong way. And I'm wrapping this up real quick, but but they had like this toddler that had been killed like in Wyzetta, which is a Minneapolis St. Paul suburb. Had been like he was like 2 years old or 3 years old or something. He was just sleeping in his bed, and some gangbangers rolled on by his place. They were shooting at each other, and one of the bullets went into his parents' apartment. It killed this 2-year-old or 3-year-old in his sleep. Just a harmless, innocent little child, and that all went down like 2 months before George Floyd, kicked his drug habit. And so they invite George Floyd, a felon with a rap sheet longer than Prince's discography. All right. and his family to US Bank Stadium. Like, we're so sorry about the loss of your son. But do they invite the family of that poor, innocent little, beautiful two-year-old or 3-year-old that got shot? Hell no. Hell no. Hell no. Because Lester Holt on NBC Nightly News isn't talking about some cute little 3-year-old that got killed. Hell no. They're going to stick to, the victim du jour, the victim of the day, the trendy, stylistic victim of the day, which was longtime felon George Floyd at that time. So George Floyd, his family gets invited to the Viking Stadium. But no. The family of the 3-year-old that got shot. Nope. So that's when I realized, oh man, even my beloved Vikings, even they're susceptible to that kind of stupidity. Like, national media, tell me what I'm supposed to care about. Like, just so many people are like that. So anyway, that's one of the reasons I'm not in the NFL. So that's one of the reasons I don't give a flying fuck about the NFL draft tonight. But I forgot that there's a lot of people that do still watch it, and they do care about the NFL draft. And so they're probably all, there with their little draft boards and whatnot. Like, I'm who my Bengals are going to draft, but anyway. But we're here, and we're going to be talking about some sinners here, okay? But let me just, allow me to request upon you, if you would like this episode, if you would hit that like button right on down there, okay? It's very easy. It's free of charge, costs you nothing. Okay, that's what appeals to me the most, because I'm a big cheapskate, and I like free things. Who doesn't, right? And so clicking on that like button is absolutely free of charge, all right? And then if you haven't already, since you're down there clicking buttons already, go ahead and hit that follow button there if you would. And then also there is the notification bell down there, and that will do like it sounds like it does. It's going to notify you with a bell, or notify you by email, letting you know, hey, there's a brand new episode of Movies Merica waiting just for you. Excuse me. See what I was talking about before? You're like, I'm losing my breath here. Yeah, got to get over this. But and then also getting the live chat, like I've said ad nauseum. I know I'm always going to harp on that because I want to hear from you guys in the live chat. And then the folks that are in live chat, I want them to have some company. Like Beyond Formal, is a stand-up guy, stand up enough, and a champ enough to get up in the live chat. I want him to have some company up in the live chat tonight. So now I know. Now, I ain't trying to be all braggadocious, but I know that back in the day when I still did care about the NFL draft, I could multitask. All right? I could multitask. I could pay attention to the NFL draft, and I could check out a live stream and that kind of thing. So I know it's a gift. It's a gift. Okay, so there you go. So maybe we'll see some folks kind of get on up here in the live chat there, because there is a lot of time between your teams picking their player and then in the next round and all of that stuff. So, and then also last thing here is in the comments section. That's for any of you that are watching this episode later on. Okay, you're not watching it live. You had something to do. Okay, like the NFL draft, or maybe you had the in-laws over tonight, and you're like, oh God, my mother-in-law, my father-in-law's coming over tonight. They hate my ass. They so hate me. All right, they were hoping that their daughter would marry this millionaire that runs this empire of bakeries, and she married me, the mechanic that works at Jiffy Lube instead. They hate my guts. And now they're coming over, and I got to entertain them and pretend that I actually can stand them. God, I wish I wasn't doing that. I so wish I was watching Movies America instead. So if you're that poor sap, I get it. Okay. So you might be that, the poor sap might be watching this episode right now. And, I feel for you. There you go. And so if you want to get in the comments section and reach out to me and let me know if you what you thought of the episode there, or you can let me know how that horrific dinner with your in-laws went. By all means, you can definitely do that in the comments section down below. And I do read the comments there because I like hearing from everybody. That is for sure. All right, let's talk about some more sinners here as I get another chug off my brewski here real quick. Oh, right. That hit the spot right there. Ice cold, baby. Ice, baby. All right. So about Sinners, I get wanting your audience to get to know all the characters and how they live and how they all interconnect with each other, right? I mean, it's a good way to, especially in a movie where traumatic or impactful or shocking things happen, and you want the audience to care about these shocking, traumatic things happening to these characters. You want them to care about these characters and when it happens to them. I get like, wanting to get you want one of your audience to get to know the characters and how they all interconnect with each other and kind of warm up to the characters. Like, oh man, those characters right there, they could be you and me. They could be you and me. Like, I totally relate to these characters. And oh my god, he just got shot. Oh, I can't take it. Oh, that character just got killed. Oh, he just got hit by a bus. Oh, and oh, that hits me so bad. I hate this. And oh my god, this is so impactful. Oh, but I'm so drawn into this movie. And the reason you feel that way is because the writers, let you get to know the characters and how they all interconnect with each other. So I get that. I get that whole process with movies. It just makes a movie that much more endearing there. But the amount of time it took to introduce all the players in Sinners was too damn long. Okay. We don't see any sign of any vampires until over halfway into the movie. All right. You're watching the movie, they've introduced that character, 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 those characters, these characters, these characters, these characters, these characters, and no vampires yet, right? And then finally, over halfway into the movie, we're introduced to Remick there in this movie right there. So, and yes, like I was talking about, the turnings into vampires and the deaths of people, it hits harder if you get to know them, humanize them, earlier in the movie. So I'm not saying, hey, Ryan Coogler, because he's the sole writer of this movie. I mean, bang up Johnny, he's the sole writer and he's directing it. There you go. Like, nice. Very impressed. But Ryan, like, you don't have to spend so much time like with the character development. Like, don't spend too little time, but don't spend too much time either, right? So you've been how many movies is he up to now? It was like Fruitvale Station, Creed, Creed 2, uh, Black Panther, and Black Panther Wakanda Forever. So yeah, this is his sixth movie, so he should know that. I mean, and I think he did like a better job with the character development in the first Creed movie, right there, where it wasn't like you didn't meet the character played by Michael B. Jordan. It's not like you didn't meet him until like over halfway into the movie of Creed, right? No, you met him pretty early, right? And his mom and all that stuff. So here in Sinners, he could have done a better job at just wheedle down that character development time right there. Okay, we don't need to know even like the dude who runs the who changes the horse's shoes, and then the dude that cleans out the radiators, or like we don't need to know everybody, right? You don't have to do so many like does all these one shots or seemingly one shots and all these like just overly long sequences and that kind of thing. They're just chop that up a little bit there, Ryan Coogler, right there. So I know he can do it, man. I know he can do it there. So, and or alternatively, if you're gonna take that long with developing the characters, maybe toss in a couple of vampire scenes in there earlier in the movie, so we don't have to wait till over halfway into the movie to see any vampire action. Because you know what, there's no dancing away from it. Vampires were a big part of your promotion, for your marketing, for your in your trailer for this movie right here. So put more like a couple more vampire scenes in the first half of the movie there. That it kind of builds up the vampire tension and anticipation there in between all the scenes of us meeting, the nice Asian couple running the general store and meeting the dude they're going to have, play the bouncer or be the bouncer at the club. And then going and getting the truck with all the supplies and then going and hunting down Delta Slim at the train station, and then like all these characters that they're introducing you to, just make it a little bit more pithy, right there. And then so that's it's just mix those vampire appearances in with the hour plus time, Ryan, that you take for your meet the characters time. And then on top of that, for all the time that Coogler spends with the character development and introduction, he never follows up again on those characters of the Choctaw Indian vampire hunters, right? Because remember, they had the first scene with Remick, the first vampire scene at all, over halfway into the movie, where he goes into the house with a couple and you get the Choctaw Indians, and it's plain as day. It's portrayed clearly like, oh, these are vampire hunters. Like, they know all about the vampires. These are vampire hunters. And they go up to the house and, hey, have you seen any vampires here? Oh, no? Okay, well, there you go. Have a nice day. And that's all you see of the vampires. You never see them like later on, later on in the movie where the movie goes into full vampire attack mode, right? You never see like the Choctaw Indian vampire hunters show up, coming over the ridge, kind of like Gandalf and Lord of the Rings, the Two Towers, right? Like, oh, hey, man, our goose is cooked now. We're really screwed. Hey, whoa, it's my Choctaw Indian vampire hunter friends coming to save us. All right. Hey, come on down here, guys. Come on down, buddies. We got plenty of vampire killing action for you right on down here. Like, none of that. We never saw the Choctaw Indian vampire hunters ever again. All right. It's just all about spending that time wisely there, Ryan Coogler. That's all it is. All right. So there you go. Just you can do better. I guarantee it. You can do better than that. That is for sure. So, all right, let's double check some information here and do all this and get all this squared away and all of that right there and get into the rest of the show right here. I think what we've got on the docket right now here is we have got a little brew review time coming up here. So we're going to get into that. And you've already seen me take a tug or two off the brew that I'm going to be reviewing here tonight. And it's going to be a brew that it is not the most obscure brew that I have ever reviewed on here. Not at all here. But you guys are going to see what that brew is here in about 5 seconds. All right, so here we go, right there. We got a big one in that. We got a big one. We got the old big old can up in here. So we got a little Dos Equis Chelada, lime, and salt right here. Okay, and of course this is brewed out of Mexico right here. Okay, so of all the people that haven't snuck across our border, they are down there brewing some Dos Equis right there. And right off the top, I'm not going to bury the lead. I love some Dos Equis lime and salt. I love it. I drink this stuff all the time right here, and I'm not getting any money from the brewer. So Heineken basically is who brews Dos Equis, but they have a brewery or breweries, I should say, in Mexico for the Dos Equis line of beers right here. But Heineken, interestingly enough, is who owns Dos Equis right here. So, but I'm not, all that to say, I'm not getting any money from them. So it's a completely objective review here. And so I dig myself some Dos Equis. I like the Lager Especial, just the normal plain Jane Dos Equis as well. But I always find myself, though, putting lime in it. And then sometimes I'll put salt in there as well. And so when they came out with this right here, I was like, all right, this is cool. All right, I like this idea. I like where your head's at there, Dos Equis. But sometimes when they try stuff like this, it does end up tasting like garbage. But this one, they did get it right. They got the lime and salt in there in just the right quantities. It's not overpowering or anything like that. So they just decided to help out the peoples with putting the lime and salt in there for you and saving you some effort right there. And Dos Equis, so without the lime and salt, it's a golden Pilsner style beer. So its alcohol by volume is very low. It's 4.2 on the alcohol by volume scale. It's IBU is International Bitterness Units. What is what that stands for? That's at a 10 because this is not a hoppy beer or anything like this. This is not an IPA or a double IPA or anything like that. This is a golden pilsner, so it's not all bitter. A lot of people don't like IPAs because IPAs are bitter, but not this right here. It's a golden pilsner, and also it's a light drinking beer there again because it's only 4.2% alcohol by volume. So I see a lot of people, including the guy you're looking at right now, putting this on my cooler, on the bass boat or sitting on the beach there with my toes in the sand right here. This is good, light, easy drinking beer here, right there. So it's a good beer that, hey, if you like drinking your beer in mass quantities, you could do a whole lot worse than this right here. And you're not going to have any problem finding this beer anywhere, like I was saying right there. This is a very ubiquitous beer, that's for sure. But so since I have this ubiquitous beer in my hand, I am going to take a drink out of this can. Here we go. Excellente. All right. So, Dos Equis Chelada, lime and salt right there. Get your hands on some. I'm sure probably like most people that are watching this right now, since this beer is everywhere, have had this. And, interesting. Yeah, let me know in the live chat. Do you like the Dos Equis Chelada, lime and salt? Do you hate it? Believe me, I am not going to be offended because, if you hate this beer, it's not going to keep the beer away from me. I'm going to be able to drink as much of it more now that you're not going to be a part of drinking this right there. So I'm going to have more supply for me and more supply for everybody else right there. That is for sure. All right. But hey, with that has been Brew Review Time. All right, here. So let's do this here real quick. I want to show you guys something here. Pardon me. See, there's the beer burp that you are going to appreciate me showing you here because it is going to give you a chance to get yourself some sweet merch. There you go. Some sweet, sweet merch that you see down there at the very bottom there. And the first merch that we're showing you is the t-shirts. Okay, so as you see, we got a Movies Merica t-shirt there and also shirts for other shows on the Till Death Podcast Network. But you're going to find that if you click on that merch link down in the description right there, that's the easiest way to get to the merch store, that you're going to see a whole lot more than t-shirts, my friends. All right, you're going to see Movies Merica shot glasses and Pilsner glasses or pint glasses, phone cases. You're going to see like jewelry there. So you want to bling yourself out with some Movies Merica bling, maybe get yourself like a Movies Merica Mr. T starter sets or something like that. By all means, you can definitely do that. Or you want to give the gift of Movies Merica, you could definitely do that as well. Okay, but that all starts down with the merch link in the description. Okay, and then once you get all your fantastic Movies Merica merch items in the shopping cart, then ignore the fact that it says whiskey there in the overlay right there. Put in promo code movies that is, for free shipping of all the sweet, sweet merch right there. So be the cool kid on the block and get yourself some Movies Merica merch. Okay, so I mean, do you want to be that guy that like just they always have like this scenario where they talk about like, oh, the woman, she's so beautiful and so alluring. Everybody wants to be near her when she walks in the room. Everyone stops what they're doing and they look at her and they gaze upon her because she's so alluring. You could be that person, all right? You could be the person that walks in to the club or church or to dinner or whatever, and everyone's like, talking. All of a sudden, they stop talking and they turn and they look at you like, oh my God, he's got a Movies Merica t-shirt on. I want to be so near to him. I want to get to know that guy. He's so alluring. There you go. You can make yourself that guy or gal with a Movies Merica t-shirt or Movies Merica bling or whatever you want to check out right there. So we're just making it easy for you by putting that merch link, again, down in the description for you. So check that out. All right, let's talk some more Sinners, so, shall we? Right there, as I struggle to talk. But Sinners, Not everything that I'm gonna say about this movie is negative. No, not at all. There you go. See, there you go. I'll keep running into that. So Sinners, it did have some emotion to it. Yeah, that's a good thing, right? Have some emotion in a movie that makes you approve of the movie. It draws you closer to the movie, makes the movie more endearing. Some good emotion to it. There's a lot of movies out there that are good, but they have a lack of emotion where they could have been so much better if they had some better executed emotion in it. I'm looking at you, James Cameron. Okay, I'm looking at you, Christopher Nolan. A lot of your movies are fantastic movies, but if you worked a little harder or got someone that knows how to write emotion better, your movies could be legendary. All right, so but this movie, yeah, Sinners has some good emotion in it. Anytime you have characters in a movie that lost a young child, the emotion, the feeling, it does exponentially go up. Okay. And so we learned that Smoke and his estranged wife, Annie, they had a baby daughter who tragically died. And I don't think they ever explain. And if somebody in the live chat wants to let me know here, I don't think it's ever explained in this movie how the baby daughter died. I'm guessing since this is the 30s, the baby daughter, since babies are just so susceptible to disease or immune systems aren't developed yet. Maybe she got some kind of illness or something like that. But all that to say is, unfortunately, tragically, they had a baby daughter who tragically died, and that was a big reason that Smoke ran off to Chicago to escape the pain. With his brother there, him and his brother went up there, and it's described during the course of the movie that they were up there and they worked as some muscle for Al Capone and his outfit there in Chicago. And of course, until Kevin Costner and Sean Connery and Charles Martin Smith and Andy Garcia, the Untouchables, took down Al Capone for tax evasion there. And then after that all went down, of course, sounds like Smoke and Stack found themselves not exactly with a stack full of job opportunities, okay? And they came back down to Mississippi, where they were from. But for 7 years, they're up in Chicago, and that all got initiated by Smoke just not being able to handle, the sadness, the misery of losing a child right there. And probably every single time he looked at his wife, the mother of his child, he was reminded of his baby daughter. So, that's what a lot of people do, right? They get out of Dodge, they get out of this area that reminds you of the dearly departed. And so, but anyway, so they went up there to Chicago to escape the pain. Fast forward 7 years, that brings us to the beginning of Sinners there. And so that's where the movie starts right there. Another movie where the plot point of a young child tragedy adds a morose depth and emotionality to the movie is Minority Report with Tom Cruise, the Steven Spielberg directed movie from back in 2002, where Tom Cruise plays John Anderton, and he's the lead of the pre-crime unit, and they have the precogs, right, that could see a murder before it happens, and so as part of John Anderton's, the character of John Anderton in Minority Report, we learned that he was at a public pool with his young son, and his young son got abducted while he was supposed to be watching his young son there at the public pool, and then that's just a plot thread point throughout the whole movie right there. And they had that scene kind of towards the kind of right at the beginning of the third act of Minority Report. That whole scene where he's back at the house that him and his wife, his estranged wife, raised their young son, and they're up there in Sean is his son's name, and they're up there and they're talking to one of the precogs there, played by Samantha Morton in the movie, and she's describing I still haven't figured out, I guess Samantha Morton as a precog is describing what Sean is doing, if he were to grow up and that kind of thing. And of course, that gets all emotional with Tom Cruise and his wife. And Cruise is like just crying, like, I want him back so bad, about his missing son. And that scene, boom, just hits you really hard in the feels right there. And so Sinners has a similar scene, of course, towards the end where Smoke is about to die, right? He's waiting for the KKK, all the KKK losers to show up. That their plan is to just basically gun down and kill all the black folk there at the juke joint. And Smoke, he smokes them, right? He busts out his BAR, his Browning automatic rifle that you see there, and then he busts out the old Thompson submachine gun, more commonly known as a Tommy gun. He starts taking out all the KKK dumbasses. But one of them gets a fatal shot on him, right? And so Smoke is about to die. He's like just kind of sitting there. He's about to die, and he sees a vision of Annie, his estranged wife, who dies earlier in the movie, right? She gets bitten by a vampire, and she dies. And Smoke puts a stake through her heart because Annie earlier in the movie made him promise, like, if a vampire bites me, you got to promise me you're gonna put a stake in my heart because I don't want to be a vampire, right? And so Smoke, staked her right in the heart, killed her, she's dead, right? And so back to him, he's dealing with this fatal wound. He's on his last breaths, and he sees this vision of Annie and his baby daughter. I guess you have to assume it's from the afterlife, right? And this is a sign, right? A clue that he's about to cross over, right? And because even his wife is like, "Hey, do you want to hold her?" And of course he's like, "Oh yeah, I definitely want to." And then you get the KKK member, and he's like, he wakes up, and then it's kind of a feel good moment where Smoke takes the Thompson, the Tommy gun, and turns the KKK loser into Swiss cheese right there. But him seeing the vision of his dead wife and his deceased baby daughter from the afterlife, yeah, that was emotional right there. So so nice one, Coogler. I've been dogging you for most of this show here so far, but that was a good touch. That was a good one, Ryan Coogler, on you with that. They're building up that emotion there. So, and that was some really good acting from Michael B. Jordan in that scene right there. Acting, doing the emotion thing in that scene right there. So, all right, let's do this here real quick. We got to move it right along here because I run a tight ship here up in Movies America. Spoiler warning right here because it is Thirsty Thursday. It is, pre-Friday, and it is time to relax and all that stuff. But also, I have got, items to attend to as I go through the show right there. And one of the items that it's my pleasure to attend to on each Movies America episode is telling you about a fantastic sponsor that we have for each show there. And that is a Flip City Magazine. And I will just get right to the point with Flip City Magazine. It is a funny magazine. This magazine will crack you up, okay? It's going to make you giggle. It's in the same vein as Mad Magazine and Cracked Magazine back in the day, right? But the thing that makes Flip City Magazine so much better than those magazines is it didn't allow itself to get assimilated into the woke Borg, okay? It just wants to make you laugh, okay? Sometimes laugh a little too hard, right? My disclaimer is maybe you should read the magazine on the toilet, okay? Because you might laugh yourself. You might laugh yourself so hard you might have yourself a little accident, okay? If you know what I'm saying, right there, okay? So now, right now, anybody from the Flip City world right now that maybe watch a video right now, they're like, oh God, Van, this is not how we want you to promote our video or our magazine right now. So you know what? I feel that. So let me let them promote it so much better than I can.
I love Flip City. It has brought new types of badassery and integrity to the print medium.
Genuinely cutting, but also funny, and obviously just chaotic and very fun.
All right. So, yes, right now, if you've got a pulse, you should be asking yourself, Van, how do I get myself some Flip City magazine? Please, my dude, come on, let me know. Don't hold it back from me, man. Let me know. How do I get my hands on some Flip City? Well, as you see down below, your prayers have been answered, all right? So get up off your knees. No more begging, all right? You can get yourself some Flip City magazine via the Flip City link down in the description there, y'all. Okay, so go ahead and get yourself down there and click on that Flip City link and subscribe to Flip City Magazine. And then as you see right there, if you put in promo code MOVIES, you are going to get 10% off your order of the best non-woke magazine around right there. And I'm not asking you to do anything that I wouldn't do myself, all right? And to prove that, look at that right there. Absolutely. Flip City Magazine. Got it right there. Biatch. There you go. And check that out. Got great artwork there on Flip City right there. Checking that out. And not just on the outside, but on the inside. We got all kinds of great colorful graphics. And there we go. Some more comics there in the magazine. And then we got like articles as well there. So crossword puzzles right there up in there. Great toilet, great bathroom activities right there. But yeah, check that out. All kinds of great stuff there. I don't want to hog it all to myself, but yeah, look at that right there. Yeah, all kinds of pictures and all kinds of good stuff right there. So check that out. Flip City Magazine right there. It's just a great comedy companion for you there. And yeah, get ready to impress your friends. Like, if you got a coffee table, throw your Flip City magazines on the coffee table, and then, people are going to walk in and be like, oh man, this guy's a total loser. Right? Why are we coming over? Oh, hey, is that Flip City magazine on Van's coffee table right there? Oh, wow, he is not such a loser I thought he was. He's a winner. There you go. So thanks, Flip City Magazine, right there. So check Flip City Magazine out there. Check it out and get the reading on right there. So, but you got to know how to read. Okay, you got to know how to read there. It should go without saying there. So let's check that out here. And hey, we got Lindo Rig 87. It says he's here, but he's driving there. Well, there you go. Well, hey, I appreciate you. It's putting that live chat right there. But yep, be safe. Don't be live chatting and driving. But you don't need me to tell you that right there. And yeah, good to see you here. You always bless every episode that you're a part of, just like Beyond Formal up in here. But yeah, like I was saying earlier, I think I like the NFL draft has got a lot of people's attention here. I think that is tonight. But don't quote me here on that there. So, all right. So I think we're getting down to it here. Let me do this here. Let me take another drink right here, because again, that's what we do on Movies Merica. We let you kick back and part of that is, drink it up. Excellent. All right. There you go. So that's all I like my beer. I like it in mass quantities like that. I like the tall boys. The canned tall boys. And that, yeah, don't clip that. All right. Don't do it. Don't do it. Wouldn't be prudent at this juncture. All right. So what we're going to get into right now is where I pay tribute to a Congressional Medal of Honor recipient, okay? And it's a segment that I call the Movie Military Moment. So right now, maybe asking yourself, like, hey, Van, what does movies and you paying tribute to a Medal of Honor recipient, what does that have to do with each other? Well, I shall tell you, but after this. All right, so I owe you an explanation. All right, so the connection between movies and paying tribute to a well-deserving Congressional Medal of Honor recipient is, just think about it this way. So if you would imagine, or just imagine, if you are the recipient of a Congressional Medal of Honor, do you think you got that for like being the best boot shiner on base, or kissing the right butts, or being the best letter sorter at the base post office, or being the best cook at the base chow hall or something? No, not at all. Okay. You got it for doing something where if you saw it in real life right before your very eyes, it would be like this life-changing moment that you will never, ever forget, right? Just a moment that is going to leave an imprint, in your old, in your melon right there in your brain, okay? It's going to be something where it's going to be something like, you're fighting in Guadalcanal during World War II, and you're behind the safety of cover, and you see some of your fellow troops, and they're like moving over there, and they don't have any cover, but you see some Jap troops, and they're over there, and they've got the drop on all your fellow soldiers over there, and you're like, my God, but my buddies, they're about to get turned into ground beef over here. What the hell? They're walking into a buzzsaw over here, and so you leave your cover. You've got like your BAR, and you're just mowing down Japs left and right. You're flicking grenades, and you're just out there, just a open target for any of those, Japs, just turn their rifles or whatever your way and just turn you into Swiss cheese. You're doing this selfless thing, and then you maybe hop over their reinforcements, their little fence or their cover that they have, and you ran out of ammo, so you're just using your bayonet. You're just taking lives with your bayonet. You're doing like this, something like if you were like one of those other troops and you saw this all go down, you'd be like, oh my God, or you're like a helicopter pilot in Vietnam and you're landing in a hot LZ. LZ stands for landing zone, where helicopters land, right? In the landing zone. And a hot LZ, it's hot because you've got all these VC troops, and they're basically, shooting at helicopters. They got RPGs, and they are just mowing down helicopters left and right. So it's a hot LZ. You're not supposed to land there, but you're a helicopter pilot. And you're like, you see wounded down there. You need to get the wounded evacuated out of there, and you're the only one that can do it. You've got supplies in the back of your chopper. You got to get down to the men. So without any regard for your own life, without any regard to your own safety, you selflessly fly your Huey down to the hot LZ, regardless of any risk to your own life. So, and that would be something like, again, if you saw it on a big movie screen in front of you, that would be a very cool movie military moment. And that's the connection, everybody, right there. That is how we roll up in here and the movie military moment. And so what our recipients, our proud recipients for tonight's movie military moment is one Major William Edward Adams. And he fought for us in the Vietnam War here. And we're going to learn more about Major William Edward Adams. But I believe the Major deserves his own movie military moment music. Don't you? Yeah, let's oblige him. And let's do that right now. This is the movie military moment. And in this movie military moment, we pay tribute to Major William Edward Adams, who fought for us in Vietnam. And let's find out more about the good Major and what he did to become a recipient of the Congressional Medal of Honor. Major Adams distinguished himself on 25 May 1971 while serving as a helicopter pilot in Caton Province in the Republic of Vietnam. On that date, Major Adams volunteered to fly a lightly armed helicopter in an attempt to evacuate 3 seriously wounded soldiers from a small firebase which was under attack by a large enemy force. He made the decision with full knowledge that numerous anti-aircraft weapons were positioned around the base and that the clear weather would afford the enemy gunners unobstructed view of all routes into the base. As he approached the base, the enemy gunners opened fire with heavy machine guns, rocket-propelled grenades, and small arms. Undaunted by the fuselage, he continued his approach, determined to accomplish the mission. Displaying tremendous courage under fire, he calmly directed the attacks of supporting gunship while maintaining absolute control of the helicopter he was flying. He landed the aircraft at the firebase, despite the ever-increasing enemy fire, and calmly waited until the wounded soldiers were placed on board. As his aircraft departed from the firebase, it was struck and seriously damaged by enemy anti-aircraft fire and began descending. Flying with exceptional skill, he immediately regained control of the crippled aircraft and attempted a controlled landing. Despite his valiant efforts, the helicopter exploded, overturned, and plummeted to earth amid the hail of enemy fire. Major Adams equals gallantry, intrepidity, and humanitarian regard for his fellow man were in keeping with the most cherished tradition of the military service and reflected utmost credit on him and the U.S. Army. And we salute you, Major William Edward Adams, for your service to this country. And that has been this movie military moment. All right, man. So that had balls of solid rock right there. I mean, like you're flying on a Huey, you're flying on a chopper there, and you are just right there, just a plain, easy, unobstructed target in the sky for the RPGs and the heavy machine guns that they're using there. And it's like, yeah, that helicopter goes down, it's your ass right there. And he knew that very, very well. But he was selfless enough to put himself in that situation to sacrifice himself for the safety of the men right there. There's sure many men who are still with us today who were able to get married and have kids and have grandkids, and they would have never been able to do that if it wasn't for Major William Edward Adams right there. So what a great guy right there. And with that has been our movie military moment. All right, here, bear with me here. I'm just going to take care of a little action over here. And all right, let's get that going on there. And this is what we call housekeeping here on this show here tonight. So, because it's we're partying, but I'm also attending to business here for the show here to keep the show going right now. That is going on there. That's just my explanation. That's my story. I'm sticking to it. Everybody there, everybody needs somebody. Yeah. All right, so I probably lost all my viewers off of that right there. Forget I did that. There. So let's do this. What I will do after I've drawn off, or how am I scurried off, or chased off all my viewers here, I am going to be ballsy enough here to ask you that, or tell you, or show you how, if you are so inclined to throw a little money my way, if you're appreciating what I'm doing enough to throw a little cash my way, I'm going to go over how you can do that. Okay, very easy. So easy, I can do it. Okay, and the way you do that is if you are checking me out on Rumble, okay, which is really the highest way, the best way, the coolest way to check out the show is on Rumble, because Rumble it's the future. Okay, it's where the cool kids go right now. YouTube, That's kind of like the old folks go there because YouTube's all about censorship and acting like their mommy, like they're your mommy and daddy, and showing you we don't think you should see this right here, little children. So we're gonna play mommy and daddy YouTube. Rumble doesn't do that. Rumble's like, you know what? We're gonna let anything on our channel or on our platform right here. And you know what? If you don't like it, hey, we're gonna let you be an adult and mute that show or scroll past that show or ignore that show or whatever. So that's why Rumble is cool because they treat everybody like adults right there. But if you are watching on Rumble, the way you can drop a couple bucks over my way or however much you want to is via what they call a Rumble rant. Okay. And how you do that is down by where you type in your live chat message. If you're in the live chat right now, which you should be in the live chat. Okay. You should be in the live chat right now because it's fun. It's fun. But down by where you type in your live chat message there's a button with a $sign on it. And then once you click on that, it'll just ask you how much you want to donate. And that's it. Very simple there. Now, if you are watching on YouTube, if you have to watch on YouTube, you're like kind of afraid of new platforms and that kind of thing. So, all right. But you can donate some money my way if you are so inclined. But you do it via what they call a super chat on YouTube there. And it works very similarly to the way it works on Rumble. So down by where you type in your live chat message there's a button with a dollar bill on it. And you click on that, it'll ask you how much cash you want to send my way here. And that's it. Okay, very easy lemon squeezy there. So, but yeah, you donate however much you want. If I get a buck from you, I am touched. I am touched. That means a lot to me. Or if you give me $100, I'm going to be honest with you. That touches me more. Okay, there you go. I'm not going to lie to you. Okay, there's no way you would believe me if I said, "Oh, I appreciate $1 just as much as I appreciate $1,000." Come on. You guys know better than that. I'm not going to lie to you right there. But I don't expect you to donate $1,000. Come on, that's unreal there. But if you do, hey, by all means, please do that. Maybe you're expecting, a good old treasure trove of money coming your way. Like, hey, we're saving a bunch of money with Doge, right? And the rumor around the old water cooler, if people still gather around water coolers, is hey, the Doge savings might be given to us taxpayers via some nice little check here in the future. Who knows? But you know what? So maybe you might believe that, and you're like, you know what? This money's burning a hole in my wallet. Van, I'm gonna throw $1,000 your way. I'm gonna put $1,000 in your hand. There you go. So, but enough of that. Enough of me going over how to give me money. I know that's so undignified. That's for sure right there. But before we get into the next segment here, let me do this here real quick. I think I left something out here. And let's do let's do this. I almost left something out here because we've got more sinners to talk about right here. And I want to say this here because this is a very important part of the movie. What a get for Ryan Coogler to get absolute blues legend Buddy Guy to play the senior Sammy. So remember Preacher Boy Sammy, played by Miles Caton here. They had that mid-credits scene to the movie where in the mid-credits scene, they fast forward in time all the way to like 1992. And so Buddy Guy plays the senior citizen version of Sammy. And then they have Stax shows up, right? Because, in the movie, Stax gets turned into a vampire, and so does Hailee Steinfeld's character of Mary, I think is her name. And so the movie fast forwards like 60 years or something like that to 1992. 60 years to 1992. Hey, I can do math. So they fast forward to 1992, and by this time, we see that Preacher Boy Sammy is like this big blues legend, like B.B. King and Buddy Guy and John Lee Hooker and all these, Robert Cray and all these blues guitars, right? And so they cut to his club or somewhere. I think in Chicago is where they portray it. And then all of a sudden, Stax, vampire Stax and Mary walk in to the club after Sammy has wrapped up one of his gigs, wrapped up one of his sets there. And Buddy Guy, again, absolute blues legend Buddy Guy, plays senior citizen Sammy in here. And I think Buddy Guy, he held his own in the acting department with Michael B. Jordan and Hailee Steinfeld here. And I've seen Buddy Guy a couple times in real life, and man, he still kicks ass on that guitar when you see him live right there. So he was just one of those guys that he was on my bucket list to see live before he sheds this mortal coil there. But I just think it was a genius move by Ryan Coogler to use a real life blues icon like Buddy Guy to give old Sammy some gravitas, right? So. And Buddy Guy, he's 88 years old and still putting on shows and doing what he loves. And then Coogler, did I say Cougar? This isn't Top Gun. This isn't some 45-year-old chick trying to hook up with some young dude. No, Coogler also slickly set the story in Clarksdale, Mississippi, where the famous Crossroads is at, from the legend of blues guitarist Robert Johnson, supposedly, according to the legend, selling his soul to the devil at the Crossroads to acquire this legendary blues guitar talent, right? So that kind of ties into and is eerily similar to how Remick, a creature created no doubt by the devil, wanted Sammy to make a deal to be turned into a vampire. So Remick, again, the creature created by the devil, no doubt. So Remick could possess Sammy's obvious massive blues talent, similarly to how the legend of Robert Johnson selling his soul to the devil so he could get blues talent right there. So it's all just all intertwined and connected. And Coogler, damn well knew that Clarksdale, Mississippi is where the Crossroads is at, or the blues Crossroads there. If you ever go there, there's like a big sign with a blues guitar on it and just says Blues Crossroads right there. So, and the movie portrays Sammy's songs as what caught the attention of Remick there. And so one of the songs that is used to catch Remick's attention is that "I Lied to You" song that we hear in the scene with all like the musicians and dancers from the past there. And I think it's actually getting radio play now. I would know. I don't listen to the radio. I just listen to my Apple Music and all that right there. But I think it's actually getting some radio play here, this "I Lied to You" song here, because it's from what is no doubt, I have to admit it, Sinners is a hit movie right now. But here's just a little bit of some backstory from Ludwig Göransson, who is the composer of the soundtrack to Sinners, and also he helped write "I Lied to You." He co-wrote it, co-created the song with the help of Raphael Sadiq, who a lot of you, if you're a fan of 90s hip hop, you all know Raphael Sadiq was one of the members of Tony. Okay, so he was one of the Tonys in Tony. There back in the late 80s and 1990, and then all these decades later, Raphael Sadiq, he had a solo career. He still has a solo career, but Raphael Sadiq, along with Ludwig Göransson, helped. They joined forces to create this "I Lied to You" song. But this video here is just going to play. It's just going to kind of explain from Ludwig Göransson. Ludwig Göransson, I should add this as well. He's not just a composer for Sinners. He's composed, I think, like the last few Christopher Nolan movies. I think he did the Black Panther soundtrack as well. He does a number of different movies and TV shows. So Ludwig Göransson is a very accomplished movie composer. But like a lot of the movie composers, like Hans Zimmer and James Newton Howard and James Horner and all these composers, they know how to play a lot of instruments here. And Ludwig Göransson is no different right here. But enough hearing from me. Let's hear from Ludwig and Ryan Coogler in this video.
Mm-hmm. So we recorded the song. We finished the basic skeleton of the song that night. I sent it to you.
I lost my mind.
Yeah, how'd you feel when you heard it?
I loved it. I knew we were done. Like as soon as I heard it.
One of the first things that I did starting on this project was to find the hero guitar. I tried to find Dobro's. Dobro is the brand of the guitar. So I found this Dobro guitar at Norman's Rare Guitars in LA. It was from 1932, right? And just the color and the
patina.
And obviously the resonator, which gives it. This was before distortion existed. Now you have a distortion pedal,
right? And
this is what this did. It made the sound louder, so you could play. So you could be a jukebox. You could play loud to people, and distort the sound. And this was just so beautiful. It's gorgeous, and it looks badass. And so when Raphael and I sat down and started playing, this is kind of the riff that he came up with. And the guitar's tuned in D. It's a D major tuning. Which you tune it like this because you play the slide. So when you have a slide, which is at the time, the first type of slide was just a glass bottle, a bottleneck. You broke it off and you put it on your finger so you can slide your finger over the frets. But if you tune it like this, you can play chords with just pressing down the slide. So that's why we started tuning the guitars like that, and then the riff was this. And it's funny because it's really fun to play, but it's also a little tricky. Mm-hmm. So I was definitely a little nervous about Sammy, Miles
Caton,
learning to play. He
wasn't a guitar player.
He's not a guitar player. He's an incredible musician, and I knew because he's so good at piano and singing. I knew it was gonna come to him naturally. But I didn't know because this is not something you can learn after like 2 months of learning how to play guitar.
Yeah.
But he was practicing. His fingers were hurting a lot.
Yeah.
All right. So, but yeah, that's some little background about that I Lied to You song that I like. I mean, there's a lot of great blues music in Sinners. There's no doubt. I cannot lie about that. And I like movies with the blues in it. I can't help but think of Crossroads, back in the 80s there in 1986, with Ralph Macchio and Joe Seneca there. So, and hey, we got Sean Cav up here in the live chat right here, and he's raiding the stream right there, and he says, "Let's go!" Yes, good to see you there, Sean Cav. Good to see you here. And Crossroads, it was good, right? Back in the day, 1986, right there. You had Ralph Macchio, Joe Seneca, the very always super scorching hot Jamie Gertz back in that movie there. And of course, they have the famous scene where Ralph Macchio is Lightning Boy is in the guitar duel with the devil, played by Steve Vai, the real life, legendary guitarist Steve Vai in Crossroads. And then also I'm thinking of like Hard Target. Remember Hard Target with Van Damme? And that movie had some good blues music in there. It's got more like kind of a Creole kind of sound to it. I'm trying to think of some other movies with good blues music. And obviously the Blues Brothers. I mean, come on, the Blues Brothers has great songs from from Jake and Elwood on the Blues Brothers there. But yeah, Sinners, even if you don't see the movie, I would say I would pick up the soundtrack to this movie because that's pretty good. And also, since it has Buddy Guy with a cameo in the movie, yeah, check out all the Buddy Guy's albums. Like Buddy Guy's been around for decades. It's like if you look at fire up look up Buddy Guy on Apple Music or Spotify or or you just go to a record store and look at vinyl or somebody. Man, Buddy Guy's got so many songs out there, and also like great collaborations, with other great blues guitarists. I mean, like I remember when he collaborated with like Stevie Ray Vaughan and Jimmy Vaughan and Eric Clapton and Robert Cray in Chicago there for a great concert there. So it was fantastic. And there's a great video and album of that whole thing going now with Buddy Guy. So and it got together with like a Junior Brown and BB King and John Lee Hooker and just some of the greats there in blues music, that's for sure. So, but all right, let's do this here real quick because tonight sucks on this show, but that's because we're talking about vampires. All right, so and to that end, I want to talk about like the best vampires, in my opinion, that I've seen in movies here. And so before we get into that, though, I'm going to drink to this best vampires segment that we're about to get in here. So here we go. All right. Excellent. And let's do this. Let's get some visual aids, why don't we, for the best vampire. There, let's do this. Let's go there, and let's do this, and let's do a little that and this and all that. All right, presentation. There we go. All right, let's make that look a little prettier right there. So I know. I got to get my ducks in a row over here. That's how we roll up in here. So let's do this. I think we could do, let's try that. Let's try this presentation. Let's do full screen. Maybe do that. Presenter view. Let's try that. It's all about experimentation here. There we go. Let's try that. Let's do this. Okay. And let's get that out of there. Let's see how that looks in here. Oh, that looks tight. There we go. Well, I kind of gave away the ghost right here. So with my first, and these are in no particular order here as far as like the favorite vampires right there. It's just these are just a list in no sequence whatsoever of the favorite vampires or my favorite vampires in vampire movies right here. Now, also, this is not my favorite vampire movies. These are just my favorite vampire characters in movies. And so as you see right here, we've got Chris Sarandon playing Jerry Dandridge in the legendary Fright Nights from 1985 here. And this is a great movie here. Now, this is one of my favorite vampire movies, Fright Night here. Probably, it is. Just commit, man. Commit! This is my favorite vampire movie here, Fright Night here. And it's like this great vampire plot, where you get this guy, a seemingly normal guy. He just moves in next door with a male companion, which nowadays we'd be like, gay. But back in the 80s, people didn't really think that. At least I don't think so. But he moves in, and he seems like a normal dude, guy next door. And then we have Charlie Brewster is like he's like the protagonist in the movie. And he sees something he's not supposed to see Jerry Dandridge do over next door. And it turns out Jerry Dandridge is a vampire right there. And so Charlie figures this out before anybody else in town, including before his mom and his girlfriend and his best buddy there. So who always says, "You're so cool, Brewster." So there was it Evil Ed. Evil Ed is his buddy's name. It's been a long time, too long since I've seen Fright Night there. But yeah, I got Chris Sarandon playing Jerry Dandridge. His take on a vampire is he's all suave and seductive, and he's all affable and very nice, and and people like him. He's just always like very warm and endearing to people, and to the ladies. All the ladies like, ooh, all right, I want to get with this guy right here. Sure, he's gonna suck on my blood, but man, I want to get with him right there. And probably some dudes want to get with him too. But so he's one of those guys where all dudes want to be him, and all the ladies and gay guys want to get with him, right? And Chris Sarandon he's just like this slimy, but a very charming way. He's very slimy and charming in a charming way here in Fright Night there. And this movie is very stylish in it, but it's also very funny, and it has some great vampire visual effects from Industrial Light and Magic and Richard Edlund. So if you watch a movie, you're gonna be like, "Oh my god, this movie!" Like a lot of the movie, you're gonna be like, "Wow, this movie doesn't look like it cost a whole lot." It's not like it looks cheap, but it doesn't look like the budget was that big, right? They haven't done anything in the movie that it looks like it's very expensive, and then all of a sudden the vampire effects kick in. And you're like, "Oh my god, well that looked expensive, and that looked expensive. Oh my god, look at this! Look at the visual effects, the special makeup effects. Oh my god, this is so cool." And the reason that they got those great special makeup effects and CGI and all that back then is they got the best. Again, like I said, Richard Edlund is, and if you know anything about movies and visual effects, Richard Edlund is a legend. And Richard Edlund was coming off of a little movie the year before Fright Night that you may have heard of, a little movie called Ghostbusters. Okay, because Richard Edlund did the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man and all the Slimer and all the ghost effects in Ghostbusters. And then, he took all that experience and he used it for Fright Night. And remember, like, at the beginning of Ghostbusters, they had that librarian, right? The librarian apparition, right? And Dan Aykroyd's like, "Get her!" And then, so then that makes the apparition go, turn into this, like, scary looking ghost. Well, that ghost was supposed to look even scarier, but then Ivan Reitman, the director, was like, no, this movie's supposed to be PG. You can't look that scary, all right? Hey, Richard Edlund, tone it down. Simmer down there, Richard Edlund. Simmer down, okay? But Richard Edlund took the even scarier visual effect that he wanted to use in Ghostbusters, and he used it for the end of Fright Night when Jerry Dandridge ultimately kicks the bucket, ultimately is defeated. And now, no spoiler warning needed for that one. This movie came out in 1985. If you haven't seen Fright Night, that's your own fault right there. But when Jerry Dandridge finally buys it at the end, he uses that scarier ghost visual effect, and it's quite effective there. And it does not look cheap, or it looks very, very expensive, and it's so cool. But yeah, Fright Night, it's stylish, it's cool. Chris Sarandon as Jerry Dandridge, your friendly, well, you're not so friendly neighborhood vampire. He takes the cake for that particular vampire there. So let's see. There we go. Let's mix that up here. There's our next one there on the docket. And number 2 is, I should stop putting numbers to it. Again, these are not in any kind of like order of ranking or anything like that. So, but here we have Bill Paxton, the late great Bill Paxton there from Fort Worth, Texas, playing Severin in the 1987 vampire / western, as weird as that sounds, called Near Dark. And Near Dark was directed by Catherine Bigelow, who later on would direct Point Break and The Hurt Locker and Strange Days and Zero Dark 30. So she's directed some great movies. But Near Dark was it Near Dark? I think Near Dark might have been her first, I think. Because she was dating James Cameron, or she was either dating or married to James Cameron when she made Near Dark. And so that's why she has so many actors from James Cameron's Aliens movie that came out the year before this, because, of course, we have Bill Paxton here. He played Hudson in Aliens, and then Lance Henriksen, who played Bishop, is in Near Dark. Then we have, I always forget her name, Janine. what's I say, Janine Menendez or something like that. I always forget her name, but she played Vasquez in Alien right here in Aliens. There, she's the one where when Hudson asked her like, "Hey Vasquez, has anyone mistaken you for a man?" And she said, or have you ever been mistaken for a man? I blew the line there. Have you ever been mistaken for a man, Vasquez? And Vasquez, like, just without even missing a beat, says, "No. Have you?" Great comeback. There. What is her damn name? I can't remember. She was also in Lethal Weapon 2, and she was in Terminator 2. Anyway, not important. But so yes, so Bill Paxton plays Severin, and he is by no doubt the most sadistic, evil, maniacal, member of the group of vampires that has Lance Henriksen and what's a Sidewinder, I think, is the other member of the group. So you got Severin, you got Hooker, Sidewinder, and you've got Homer, and then you've got the young blonde girl. I forget what her name is, but that's like the group of vampires that just wander to and fro, right? And Bill Paxton as Severin. He is, he's got some great lines in this movie, and he's brutal. He is brutal in this movie. He has no hesitation, no moral qualms about killing anybody in this movie whatsoever. He takes great pleasure in killing his victims before he drinks their blood in this. And so, because he's like just this so irreverent character with some of the best lines in the movie, and because he's Bill Paxton, all right, that's what puts him on the list in here in my best vampires list right here. And of course, Bill Paxton has been so great. He was so great in so many other movies right there. He was, and obviously, a lot of people know him as Chet from Weird Science. He was Chet in Weird Science a couple of years before he was in this movie. He had a little known, a very don't blink or you'll miss it role in Commando with Schwarzenegger. He played like this naval radio operator in Commando. I was in The Terminator. James Cameron. He was in The Terminator as like this street thug. Of course, I was also in Twister and Apollo 13. All these great movies Bill Paxton was in there. So the late, great Bill Paxton makes my best vampires list. Let's move on through the list here, everybody, but not before I get myself a little bit more booze right here. All right, I know the suspense is just killing you for who's next on my best vampire list. And that would be Kiefer Sutherland as David from The Lost Boys. And I think a lot of you would have made me a Lost Boy. Okay, they would have wanted to kick my ass if I didn't have David from The Lost Boys on here. So, or any mention of The Lost Boys, because The Lost Boys is a legendary movie. So, but yeah, Kiefer Sutherland. This is like, I think this is the role that really garnered him attention from like casting directors in Hollywood. He had been in like the movie Stand By Me, playing like this punky character there. Of course, he had a famous dad, Donald Sutherland. But yeah, him playing David in The Lost Boys was really what got him in. Yeah, it got the attention of casting directors and really got the attention of movie goers everywhere, because The Lost Boys was more seen than Stand By Me was. Stand By Me was a hit, but it wasn't like a Lost Boys level hit there. But yeah, he played the menacing vampire character of David, and he's kind of like fashioned, I believe, kind of like after Billy Idol. A lot of people say like, oh, he's kind of like if Billy Idol were a vampire, that would be David in The Lost Boys. And he in this movie is directed by Joel Schumacher, who later on would direct Kiefer Sutherland again in Flatliners and in the movie Phone Booth. Okay, so they collaborated a few times. Joel Schumacher would also do he did Batman Forever with Val Kilmer and Nicole Kidman. Also did the disastrous Batman and Robin. That pretty much killed the Batman franchise there. So what else did he did? He did a number of other Joel Schumacher. He did a movie called what was that movie he did with Colin Farrell in there? Tigerland. That was a good movie directed by him. But Joel Schumacher, great director, no longer with us. And I know there's a big Joel Schumacher movie that I'm completely missing out on here. But anyway, so Lost Boys. Also, again, Jamie Gertz was in this movie here. And then we had, of course, Jason Patrick. He played Michael. He had the two Corys in this, Corey Haim, Corey Feldman. And Corey Feldman played one of the Frog Brothers. And the Frog Brothers, they fought for truth, justice, and the American way. Great line from Corey Feldman as one of the Frog Brothers in this. And The Lost Boys was, for its time, when it first came out, because I was like 13, 14 years old, I'm guessing, around this time when Lost Boys came out in theaters. And it was like this cool movie, right? Because it had a cool soundtrack to it, and it had that cool movie look to it. It was just kind of like this, like a vampire-filled music video, right? And this came out like in the height of MTV's, the height of MTV's powers, all right? So, where everyone truly was out there, yelling, "I want my MTV!" Back in the golden days, the good old days when MTV played videos, right? And so this is like a rock and roll MTV music video vampire movie. That was The Lost Boys, right? And had like a great lines in it, like Corey Haim when he kills he basically, I think he shoots like a crossbow or he throws some holy water at one of the vampires, and the vampire like stumbles back into a stereo, and he gets electrocuted by the stereo, and then Corey Haim's like, "Death by stereo," just one of these great lines in The Lost Boys, and just a lot of like iconic pop culture moments in The Lost Boys. Great music in it, but Kiefer Sutherland as David. He's very menacing. He comes off as like this guy. He's giving Michael, played by Jason Patrick, a lot of crap, but he's also trying to maybe recruit him into the group of vampires. And but it kind of seems like there's a tinge of envy between David and Michael in this movie right there. But then also, as you see from the picture on the right there, it's, David isn't all about being cool and being all being about rock and roll and all that stuff. He's about getting down to vampire business when he needs to. And the vampire special makeup effects in this are pretty good. This movie, it's not a particularly gory vampire movie with like very gory, gross, brutal vampire kills like Near Dark has in it. But there's a scene where they are still trying to recruit Michael to join their group, and they're like, "Hey, Michael, come on with us. We're going to go out and just have a good time." And the vampires, they come upon this group of partiers on the beach, right? There's these beach partiers, and they go in there, and these vampires, led by David, just go in there and they just decimate these partiers on the beach. They just carve them up. They just kill every single one of them. It's a massacre. And this scene was where there was a particular segment in that scene that had to hit the cutting room floor, got edited out of the movie because Kiefer Sutherland, the way he tells it, the movie was the scene, the kill, the vampire kill, was just too graphically violent. But they filmed it, but he said like it hit the cutting room floor because it was too graphically violent, too brutal. And you do see a little bit of it in the theatrical release, but they cut around it there. And it's a kill where Kiefer Sutherland's David character like takes this guy who's completely bald and he bites into the back of his head like it's a cake, right? Like his bald head is a cake, and they hook this prosthetic or hook this thing up to this guy's head to where he bites like the back half of his bald head off, and like he's just chomping into this big birthday cake, and there's blood just gushing everywhere. And so it's just very graphic, very brutal. I think they probably put it in the movie originally. I'm guessing the MPAA had saw that. They're like, nope. If you put that in the movie, we're gonna rate your movie X. So you got to cut that out of the movie. But Kiefer Sutherland was like, oh, it was so gnarly, it's so graphic and so brutal. But we had to cut that part out. We had to cut the full impact, the full shot of that out of the movie. But if you look closely during that beach scene where they're just doing this beach partier massacre, you do see the beginning of the bite, and then they cut away from it there. But that's David as or that's Kiefer Sutherland as David in The Lost Boys right there. So let's move on with my best vampire list here. Okay, so it's not a countdown, it's not a ranking here. So let's move on, and the next one is, of course, Wesley Snipes as Blade, as you see right there. And I had to have Blade on the list, even though he's half vampire. Okay, he's not full vampire, but he's such a badass in these vampire movies right here. And then supposedly I was reliably informed by a lot of people that, when Black Panther came out, it was about time, because we never had a black superhero, a black character from the comic books ever make it to the screen. And I'm sure, when that was said, I'm sure Wesley Snipes was like, wait, am I chopped liver over here? Because I played this guy named Blade, who was in the comic books, a black character from the comic books, and I made it on the big screen not once, not twice, but thrice. Okay, so let's just cut out this whole, hey, Black Panther, about time. It's the very first black superhero to ever make it on the screen from the comic books. So let's cut that shit out right now. All right, so there you go. Wesley Snipes as Blade came out way before Chadwick Boseman played Black Panther here. And boy did Wesley Snipes just kick ass and take names, kick vampire ass and take names as the titular character Blade in the Blade movies right there. The first two, I like the first two Blade movies. The third one sucked donkey dick. Don't even bother with the third one there. But Blade and Blade 2 were pretty good. And Blade, that's what his MO is Blade is in the vampire killing business, and boy, is business booming in these movies right there. And then in the second Blade movie, you actually have vampires recruits Blade to help them kill these rogue vampires there. So some vampires that are even too scary for the normie vampires right there. But Blade comes in, and he is just this badass vampire hunter, and he's got all these cool tools and weapons, and those are built for him by is it Piper? Is that his name? Piper or Whisperer or what the hell's it? Chris Christopherson's Whistler. Chris Christopherson plays Whistler, and Whistler creates all these cool gadgets for Blade to use here against the vampires. And in the first Blade, it's good. It was different from other vampire movies before it, because it was kind of like Lost Boys. It was kind of more of a stylish vampire movie. At the very beginning of Blade, you have like it does like this world building, this vampire world building, where you've got the normal world with humans occupying it, and you got like this underworld, this underworld of vampires that exist in our world but underground, right? And the vampires, they act just like normal humans, except they're vampires, right? They like to go and do drugs and have sex and go and go to nightclubs, and speaking of which, the beginning of Blade, it takes place at this vampires only nightclub, right? Where they're in there and they're getting their rave on, and then you get blood squirting down from the ceiling, out of these sprinklers. And when first time I ever saw that scene, I was like, oh my God, that's genius. What a great idea. And it told me that this movie, Blade, is setting itself apart from other vampire movies here. And then again, another thing that set this movie apart from other vampire movies is, of course, Wesley Snipes playing Blade and kicking vampire ass in numerous different ways. Also, it has a great villain in the movie played by Stephen Dorff. In the movie, played, I forget what his character's name is, but he is just this very very evil, rough around the edges, very just gritty vampire character that's got plenty of attitude about him, like David in Lost Boys there. And Stephen Dorff's vampire villain character has no time for taking it easy with Blade. Already, he wants Blade gone. He wants vampires to rule. He doesn't want any of this, hey, we're dancing around in the shadows crap anymore. Okay, he wants to rule the world. All right, just like Tears for Fears says, everybody wants to rule the world. Well, that would include Stephen Dorff's vampire villain character in Blade there. So, but yeah, I like Blade here, played by Wesley Snipes, and I like his relationship in the movie with Whistler, again played by Chris Christopherson there. And of course, we saw Blade again much more recently in Deadpool and Wolverine that came out last year. So we got a Blade cameo in Deadpool and Wolverine there. And supposedly we're supposed to get another Blade movie here, but they've been saying that since 2018, 2019. But if we don't get another Blade movie, that's totally fine, because I think the first two Blade movies are just enough right there. And it's going to be very, very hard to beat Wesley Snipes playing Blade in those 90s and early 2000s vampire or Blade movies right there. So check those first two Blade movies out. Like, even if you're on the young side, right, and you're like, oh man, watch the movie from the 1990s and early 2000s. Oh man, that's too old. That's too ancient. Like, you know what? Stop it, you young whippersnapper. All right. So check out Blade and Blade 2, and you will not be sorry. Now, obviously, since the first Blade came out in 1998, the visual effects look like they came out in 1998. But ignore that. Pay more attention to the story and the way the characters carry themselves, particularly Wesley Snipes as Blade there. All right, so let me get another swig of my brewski here. All right. And again, drink up, everybody. If you guys are drinking up, if you guys got some beverages there, go ahead and don't let me stop you from getting your drinky on. By all means, don't let me stop you. So now we have a Nicolas Cage here next year in Renfield. This might have been probably not as well known as a vampire character here, but make no mistake, Nicolas Cage as Count Dracula in the movie Renfield. It came out a couple of years ago. He is hilarious. Okay, and the movie is not bad. The movie is pretty good. It's very funny. It's very gory. It's very graphically violent here. Nicolas Cage is great in it, and then his relationship with the character of Renfield, played by the always great Nicholas Hoult. Nicholas Hoult. He's going to be. You're going to see him as Lex Luthor in the upcoming Superman this summer. He also played. He played the young Beast in. In X-Men First Class and in X-Men Days of Future Past. Played the younger version of Beast there, and also he was in the. Also, I guess is an even better way of telling you who Nicholas Hoult was. Just think of him as the guy's like, what a day, what a lovely day. That character in Mad Max Fury Road, that's Nicholas Hoult. There, he played Renfield. But Nicolas Cage, he's had many roles where he just steals the movie, right? Many roles where the movie is dog shit, but his character, the way he performs his character, is so excellent. Okay, but Renfield is a good movie, so this is not one of those instances where he has to carry this terrible movie here. Renfield's pretty good there, but you have Nicolas Cage as Renfield. He just adds this Nicolas Cage smarminess and wittiness, and he's just very sarcastic with Renfield, but also it's unnerving too, because there's plenty of instances in the movie where you see Dracula where he's not in his best shape. Okay, he's all decrepit, half his face is off, he's an old man, and then of course as Renfield gets Nicolas Cage, or Renfield gets Count Dracula more bodies to feed off of, well then, Count Dracula starts looking more and more like what you see here. But that's Renfield's job, is to get bodies to feed Dracula there. So he's always like going out there and having to murder people, bring them back to Count Dracula's lair, which I don't know why Count Dracula can't just go out there and get his own bodies, but he makes poor Renfield go out there and do it. And so Renfield has superpowers. So he's got like super strength, just like Dracula, or not just like Dracula, but he's got super strength, super fighting capabilities, so that he can go out there and get poor victims for Count Dracula to feed off of. And so you see that in Renfield, that Renfield, the character, does have these healing abilities and the ability to kick ass and all that stuff here. So Nicolas Cage, you see him as a decrepit, broken down version of Count Dracula, but then you see him as you see here, and then when you see him as you see right here, he doesn't hesitate for a second. Okay, well, maybe he hesitates for a second to throw like some funny, witty kind of giving the characters some shit kind of lines before he kills them. Right? Then he insults the hell out of you before he attacks you and sucks your blood there. But Nicolas Cage, just the way he torments verbally and physically Renfield in this movie is just fantastic. And so Nicolas Cage brings his normal manic self in this movie right here. And so this is Nicolas Cage. He played Count Dracula here, and I think the following year, maybe a couple years later, he played Longlegs, this psychotic, like very evil, satanic character called Longlegs. And so Nicolas Cage, okay, as much as he can play, funny characters like H.I. McDonough in Raising Arizona, or he can play a treasure hunter in National Treasure and all these roles. He can play Stanley Goodspeed in The Rock with Sean Connery. He plays all those characters, but then, man, one of the roles, or the kind of roles he really shines, is when he has to play like pure evil, okay, in a very psychotic way. And Renfield is one of those instances where he does that just perfectly to a T, playing Count Dracula in this. And so, and also he gets to play Count Dracula in a movie that has a great sense of humor to it. It's a funny movie. It's like, I'll just give you one for instance. So Renfield, he gets himself like this studio apartment, right? He's trying to be independent from Count Dracula. He's like, for some reason, he's in love with Aquafina, of all people, in this movie. So he's trying to be more independent from Count Dracula. So he gets a studio apartment, and he's trying to hide this all away from Count Dracula. So he's trying to get away from it. He's trying to get away with it. And he's hoping that Nicolas Cage's Count Dracula character doesn't find out, right? And he's also trying to find a way to get away from Count Dracula. And so Count Dracula does catch wind of what Renfield is doing. And so Renfield, he's having a good time. Things are progressing with Aquafina. He's like, oh man, I might actually get away with this, getting away from Count Dracula thing that I've got going on. He walks into a studio apartment, and what you see there on the left-hand side there, that picture, what he sees right when he walks in the door is Count Dracula sitting at a table in his studio apartment, drinking blood, out of a martini glass, right there. And so just totally surprising Renfield, and just bringing Renfield's, happy disposition for the day, just crashing down. And at that moment, he's like, how the hell did Count Dracula get into my studio apartment. And don't vampires have to be invited into your house? And then that's when Renfield looks down and he sees his floor mat outside of his studio apartment door. And his floor mat says, "Hello, come on in." And Renfield's like, "Ah, shit." So that's how Count Dracula was able to get into his studio apartment there. So just kind of humor like that in Renfield. And so, yeah, Renfield's a pretty good movie there. And Nicolas Cage just enhances the movie right there. So, all right, we're getting down in our vampire list. And the next is, I think this is going to be the most unknown Count Dracula, the most unknown vampire in the list right here. And this actually is from the Netflix series. Well, it was on Netflix, but it was created by BBC, the British Broadcasting Corporation there, or British Broadcasting Company. I don't know, what one of those. Pardon me. But we got Claes Bang here playing Count Dracula. I had this back burp come up there, so I got that disgusting look on my face right now. Hey, when it happens. So sometimes happens when you drink beer right there. So one of the pleasures of live streaming. Sometimes everyone sees your ugly side. But anyway, enough about that. Speaking of ugly, we've got this cutie pie here up on the screen. Claes Bang playing Count Dracula in the BBC version of Dracula that was on Netflix back in 2020, I believe. And Claes Bang here, I know a funny name. He's like, I think it's like a Swedish or a Danish actor or something like that. He plays another very kind of smarmy, witty, sarcastic, just kind of a very quippy Dracula, while at the same time having a very brutal, dark, doesn't hesitate for a second to kill anybody in his way, kind of a side to him there. So that's the thing is, a vampire with a witty, kind of smarmy, sarcastic side only works if you see his brutal, no-nonsense, cruel, sadistic side. You have to have both. You have to have this side of the equation and that side of the equation right there. And Claes Bang meets that requirement in this Netflix Dracula series here. And this is a different take on the Bram Stoker Dracula story here. Now, they do the Netflix thing. They do the rewritten for a modern audience thing, even in the first episode, because this is a TV series. There's 3 episodes in this. And throughout the three episodes, Van Helsing gets a gender swap. Okay, so it's no longer Abraham Van Helsing; it's now Agatha Van Helsing. Okay, so it's just doing that thing where they do the gender swap thing with this. But so that's why his portrayal of Count Dracula is better than the series. Now the series is interesting, because you've got these 3 episodes, and I'm not going to ruin it. It's worth watching. It's entertaining enough to watch. I mean, Claes Bang as Count Dracula makes it worth a watch if you've got Netflix there. But it's got a different spin on Dracula here, not in a bad way. Like I said, Van Helsing is now Agatha Van Helsing. That's more of a, oh my God, of course, kind of different spin and more of an annoying aspect, but not a deal breaker, not something that's gonna like totally ruin the experience for you. But it does this thing with time. I'll just put it that way because I don't want to spoil it. It does this thing with time and the lore of Count Dracula and some familiar characters that we all know from Dracula lore. And then Claes Bang, actually, if he looks familiar to you, that would be because he also was, after he was in this, he was in the movie The Northman. Remember the movie The Northman? It's the Viking movie that came out a couple of years ago. It had Alexander Skarsgård playing the title character, the Northman, and there was the scene. There's the plot line in the movie where Ethan Hawke plays the father of this young Viking boy, and then Ethan Hawke's character gets betrayed by his brother, and Ethan Hawke's brother was played by Claes Bang in that movie right there. But Netflix, this Netflix Dracula movie doesn't hesitate with the graphic violence, with the gore. So you always get you get the good gore, the good vampire carnage candy in this. Also, it's got some great special effects in this, kind of like Fright Night. You do get a scene with a Dracula and a wolf, okay, or with a vampire and a wolf. Fright Night, there was no Dracula in it, but you get like a good a vampire wolf transformation thing going on, and so that's cool. Not as cool as the wolf scene in Fright Night, where you see Evil Ed. He turns into a wolf, and then he gets killed, and then you see the wolf transform back into Evil Ed. It's not as cool as that scene, so that it's going to be very, very hard to top that wolf transformation scene there in Fright Night right there. But and again, this Dracula TV series is nowhere near the excellence that is the movie Fright Night there. So, but it's worth checking out there just for Claes Bangs. Claes Bang. Is it Claes Bangs? Or I think it's just Claes Bang. Again, I know. Hilarious name. His portrayal of Count Dracula in this movie right there. So, but since this is probably the least known iteration of a vampire in this list, I'm going to move on here and let's see who we've got next up in here. And that would be, of course, no vampire list would be complete without Gary Oldman playing Count Dracula in Francis Ford Coppola's 1992 hit Bram Stoker's Dracula here. So, and this is Gary Oldman. Before he was Commissioner Gordon or Jim Gordon in Christopher Nolan's Dark Knight trilogy. This is way back in the day when Gary Oldman was making his way through Hollywood and making his name by playing mostly villains, right? He was in this as a villain. He was in Air Force One as a villain. The Professional, of course, as a villain there. So True Romance as a villain, and so he was. So this one, of course, he played Lee Harvey Oswald. The year before this movie came out, he was Lee Harvey Oswald and Oliver Stone's JFK. So, but Gary Oldman, man, he signed up for something in Francis Ford Coppola's Bram Stoker's Dracula, and this is probably, I would guess, outside of like Bela Lugosi's Dracula, if you're like old enough to remember Bela Lugosi as Dracula, like that generation. If you're in that generation, Bela Lugosi is probably the most famous vampire that you know. But to younger people, Gary Oldman's Count Dracula, that's probably the one that that most people know of a certain age right there. And Francis Ford Coppola, man, he did like the most, he did the Count Dracula character that covered the most ground of Bram Stoker's novel. Okay. And he had the Count Dracula character that came to us in the most forms, right? I mean, you have Bram Stoker's, you have this Gary Oldman's Dracula coming to us as a wolf, then as like this full size big ass bat character. He's like this. Also, then he's like this werewolf character. He's not just a wolf. You got this werewolf character. Then you see him as like this hybrid human, like nearly human werewolf character. Like towards the end, you see him as like a pile of rats. You see him as a young man, as you see him here on the left there, a young man where he's trying to seduce Winona's Mina character, Winona Ryder's Mina character. You see him here on the right there where Francis Ford Coppola wanted to incorporate kind of like a little bit more of an Asian style, a Far East style to Count Dracula here, where that's when, Jonathan Harker, played by the hilariously bad, sorry Keanu, but the hilariously bad Keanu Reeves as Jonathan Harker character in this movie right there with Keanu Reeves infamously bad English accent in this movie right there. But Keanu Reeves first meets Count Dracula in the form we see here on the right, and then Gary Oldman just showing what a consummate actor that he is. He's got this great Transylvanian, Eastern European, like Carpathian accent that he does, kind of like Bill Skarsgård developed for a much more recent vampire movie of Nosferatu here, which almost made the list here, but not quite there. I think I need to see the movie Nosferatu one more time to watch Bill Skarsgård's Nosferatu character there one more time to see if maybe it would have made this list here. I might watch Nosferatu here very soon, see it, and I'll be like, damn it, Van, you should have had him on the list. Maybe put him in front instead of Clay's Bang or something like that, because I don't want the list to be too long here. But yeah, so you see Gary Oldman doing this fantastic translation or language or accent, I should say, as Count Dracula in this here. And Gary Oldman, he went through hell. He had to be in so much makeup to take on all these different forms of Count Dracula that Francis Ford Coppola presents to us in this movie. And again, this movie, just like several of the other movies that I've gone through here in this list, does not hold back on the carnage candy at all as well, right? You get blood and guts in this movie. You get it like in this cruel, sinister way throughout the movie. But this movie also has a sense of humor to it. Anthony Hopkins is pretty funny as Van Helsing in this. And then also, I mean, you learn along the way to learn to laugh at Keanu Reeves' attempt at an English accent in this here as well. Because it sounds even worse because you've got all these seasoned British actors doing a great British accent, like Anthony Hopkins and Cary Elwes and Gary Oldman. Sophie? Whatever. Anyway, the actress that's married to Jude Law now. So anyway, so all these consummate British actors, and then Keanu Reeves trying to do an English accent. It's hilarious to watch in Bram Stoker's Dracula here. But so this is, I think this is the movie that carries out, that puts Bram Stoker's Dracula, the novel, puts that novel onto the screen in a visual sense. It's the closest telling. It's the truest telling of it, I think, here, and others do too. If you want look on YouTube, there's several videos out there, at least more than one video out there that goes over like, hey, what movie resembles the novel, resembles Bram Stoker's Dracula novel the most? And a lot of them they land on Bram Stoker's Dracula, directed by Francis Ford Coppola in 1992, as the tippy top of that list right there. And so do I. Right there. So, but yeah, that's, I'm pretty sure that's it. Yep, that's it. That is the end of my list right there. I think it's pretty exhaustive there with that list through the list of what I think are the best vampires in movies. Not in any particular ranking or anything like that, but let me know, in the live chat, what did you think of my list here? Are you like, oh my God, Van, you missed this vampire and that vampire and that vampire? Or how the hell did you not have Bill Skarsgård's vampire character Nosferatu from the movie Nosferatu in this list? And who the hell is Clay's Bang? And why would you have a Netflix series on here? Or maybe you might write in the live chat like, you know what? And I'm not trying to influence your live chat, at all. But you might say, Van, you're a genius. You're a master. Your list was sublime. We don't deserve your great taste in vampires here on Earth right there. So, wow, you are the greatest. Like, if you want to write something like that in the live chat, that's totally cool. Or if you're a watcher of this episode in the future and you're not watching this live, you can say something, complimentary like that in the comments section down below if you would like as well. Okay, so, or hey, you know what? If you're feeling, especially enterprising, like give me your list of your favorite vampires in vampire movies there, either right now in the live chat or in the comments below. I want to, because you might have a vampire in your list of your best vampires that I'll look at like, oh, how did I forget about that vampire? What are you thinking, Van? Oh my God, what? So you might make me do that. You never know. You never know. Okay, there you go. Right there. So, all right, let's do this here as we get ready to close out this Movies Merica spoiler warning episode. But don't let me do that without letting you know what movie that I will be reviewing on Sunday. In the movie that I'll be talking about all next week. And that is going to be Ben Affleck in The Accountant 2. All right. But hey, it's not just Ben Affleck, it's John Bernthal playing his brother and them teaming up in The Accountant 2. So it's basically Batman and the Punisher, okay, joining forces in The Accountant 2. So there you go. They're doing it in spreadsheets and in heartbeats in The Accountant 2 there. And so yeah, this Sunday's Movies Merica Live episode that comes on at 4 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Central, 2 p.m. Mountain, and 1 p.m. Pacific. Pacific will be all about The Accountant 2. And that episode on Sunday is spoiler-free. No spoilers in that whatsoever. And you'll be able to get the links to watch that show on Sunday morning. Or if you just go to Rumble or YouTube and just type in Movies Merica, The Accountant 2, it'll pop right up there for you there as well. So, and then of course, a week from tonight, will be Movies Merica spoiler warning. And then that's when I will be doing my more spoilery deep dive into The Accountant 2. I'll be opening up my spreadsheet about The Accountant 2, and we'll be really, really crunching the numbers, the credits, the debits, all about The Accountant 2 in the Movies Merica ledger and spreadsheet next Thursday night there. So join me for those episodes going over The Accountant 2 there. And let's do this here as I get ready again to wrap up this episode of Movies Merica spoiler warning. And again, I want to thank everybody that's watching live right now. I want to thank you for watching this episode right here. You might even get a single tear coming out of my eye right there, but probably not, because I'm so hungry right now. My stomach is growling too much. So my body's probably like, I can only handle one thing at a time. My stomach can either make your stomach growl or can have one tear come out of your eye. Can't do both. Okay, there you go. So, but I want to thank you for joining the show tonight. And then if you haven't already on Rumble, if you check me out on Rumble, if you haven't already, hit that follow button there. If you would, I would be so honored. And if you're checking me out on YouTube, yeah, go ahead and hit the follow or subscribe button on YouTube. On YouTube, you're going to find it under the Till Death Podcast Network there. And then also check me out on X. So on all the social media platforms, that your imagination can conjure up. I am on all those platforms under @Movies Merica, or just type in Movies Merica. Very easy. And so you can do that on X and Rumble and Facebook and Instagram, not on TikTok. On Gab there. So just look for Movies Merica. And then, hit the old follow or subscribe button on those platforms. And then if you do that, let me know that you did that by getting in my direct message, my DMs in X under Movies Merica. Just DM me and say, hey, Van, I followed you on this and that and that. And I will follow you back. But I don't know how to follow you back if you don't tell me. So that's why you have to DM me, direct message me on X with my Movies Merica account. So I think there might be more than one Movies Merica account on X, and probably I think there's another Movies Merica account on Rumble there. Well, actually, I know there is because I created it. But the way to know that you're on the right Movies Merica account and that it's the one to follow and to watch shows on is It's the one with all the episodes. It's chock full of stuff. It's chock full of content. The other Movies America accounts, they barely have anything on it. So that's how you know that's the wrong one right there. So there you go there. So, and also, again, feel free to forward the link to this episode, either the Rumble link or the YouTube link, preferably the Rumble link, to anybody that you even remotely suspect would enjoy this episode. Maybe you know of somebody that you know loves vampire movies, loves Michael B. Jordan movies, loves Ryan Coogler movies, or just loves any movie for that matter right there. Just forward the link to this episode to them, or even better yet, forward them the link to my entire channel. And that would be, if you're on Rumble there, you can just go and give them the link of Rumble, or the address of rumble.com/c/movies Merica right there. So, and let's double check here real quick. I might have that here. Yeah, you're gonna see it here, maybe. No, but I don't have it here. But yeah, just do that here. Actually, let me do this. I'll put it in the chat. There you go. Let's refresh this page. Hopefully, I didn't lose you here. Kicks you out at like the 2-hour mark, or around the 2-hour mark there. There we go. Hopefully, you guys can all see me here again. Let's see there. I will see if you guys can see me. There we go. I think it kicked me out. So there we go. All right. Anyway, so hopefully I'm assuming you guys can all see me here right now. That's like a Rumble Studio. Just at random times, just boots everybody out of there. But let me do this here real quick, because I told you I was going to do this, and I don't want to lie to you. I don't want to lie to you, tell you I was going to do this and not do it. So I'm going to put this in the live chat there in Rumble. Oops. All right, there we go. And Rumble, I've got that's the link. That's the link to my Rumble page with all my Movies America episodes there. If you want to forward that to anybody that you think would even remotely be interested, and let's do that for YouTube as well. Get all up in YouTube and check that out there. And let's see here. Get up in here. There we go. Turn that off. There you go. Turn off that volume there, Van. There we go. And oops. There we go. All right. So there's the link in the live chat for YouTube that you can forward off to people there to check out the channel right there. Sorry, I kind of hesitated there because I'm losing track of all my screens right here. It's too much information overload. All right, I've got this sensory overload going on over here. It's too much to take, man. I can't handle it. I'll tell you. All right, so, but all right, what else do I need to do? Because I'm all about the due diligence and making sure that I don't miss anything here. And I think we're good to go here. We covered everything on the old Movies America docket there. So, I think we're at the end of it here, everybody. But like I always say, get out there, people. Those movies aren't gonna watch themselves. See ya.
Fuck you, Ian.
Howdy, my movie maniacs and my fellow freedom-fueled film fanatics. Would you do me a favor and check me out at solo.to/moviesmerica? That's where you would go for a one-stop shop for all the links that have to do with me, Movies Merica. And then also, if you want to check out the audio-only podcast versions of my Movies Merica live episodes, that's my spoiler-free reviews that I do on Sunday, you can go to moviesmerica.com or Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, places like that. And then, actually, if you would also check me out on the social media sites like X and Instagram and Facebook and Gab. And I'm on those locations all under @MoviesMerica. So it is very easy to find me out there, all right? So get to it, everybody. All right, thanks for watching. Later.
Fuck you, Ian.
Make sure you check out solo.to/the Whiskey Capitalist for all of our links and ways to stay up to date with me.
I'm kind of retarded.
And Casey the Soundboard Lord.
Dwight, you ignorant slut!
We do our show, the Whiskey Capitalist Podcast, every Monday and Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific, where we talk trending news, politics, pop culture, and whatever weird shit we come up with that day. So if any of that sounds like fun, make sure you check us out. We are also on Instagram and X. Wait, we're not on Instagram because that platform sucks. We're on X at Whiskey Cap Pod. Probably here somewhere. Go check it out and stay up to date with us, and make sure you check us out on Rumble, on all the places where you're supposed to find us, or just go to solo.to/the Whiskey Capitalist. Come on, man. For all of the links. Yeah. Bye.
Fuck you, Ian. Find me on Rumble at Soundboard Lord, Monday through Fridays, about 10 a.m. Thursday nights, we're going to start doing horror nights, and you can blurp me to scare the shit out of me and all that fun stuff. Do it. Horror. Fuck you, Ian.
What's going on, guys? Make sure you check out solo.to/tilldeath podcast for the podcast that I do with my wife Jen every other Saturday at 5 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Pacific, where we talk about married life, husband and wife issues. Not that we have any issues, because we have a perfect marriage. Also, we talk about healthy living, healthy eating, and don't worry, we're not vegans. Those guys are weird. We also talk about weird stories and funny stuff that we find on the internet. We do funny videos at the very end. It's a whole lot of fun. If all of that seems like something that you want to watch, then make sure you check it out. Like I said, every other Saturday at 5 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Pacific. And check out the link that we have below right here for our X and Instagram. It is at Till Death Podcast, podcast without the vowel. So TILDEATHPDCST. And hope we see you there. See you later, guys.
Try to relax your anus.
Fuck you, Ian. It's not that hard. Right there. It's right there. Just read it. Follow me on Twitter at SoundboardLord. Fuck you, Ian.
Hey guys, don't leave the video quite yet. Okay, I've got the popo. They're coming after me, and I don't have much time to tell you, but you need to like and subscribe this video right here down below. It's right down there. It's just waiting. It's waiting for you down there, okay? And make sure you watch these videos over here too. You'll be doing me a big favor. I'll be in handcuffs pretty soon. All right. Thanks for watching.